Welcome back to the Nosebleed Seats. I'm the Mystic Order of Arachnid Vigilance, number 5706. With me, I have the scariest tag team in the Midwest right now, the 01 USA, that's the entire United States of America, tag team champions right here. They've gone up against a lot of competition lately. Zero Gravity, done. If looks could kill, nothing. Okay, this is the top tag team here in the Midwest right now. They've got the belts to prove it. Tonight,
we've actually beaten all tag teams, actually.
Yes.
Just to get that out there, there's not a tag team we haven't beaten.
There's not one tag team in our coverage area that they haven't destroyed. In fact, last month, dream match, if looks could kill against the Hooligans, we thought it was going to be a big brawl. It was nothing for these guys. They spiked Greg Glover, I believe, right on his head.
I don't know which one's which.
Yeah.
Just bodybuilder guys.
They were done. So dream match wasn't so much of a dream, it was more of a nightmare for if looks could kill. What else do you guys got coming up? I know St. Louis Anarchy is a place. It's kind of your stomping grounds. A lot of competition coming through there.
Next week, Wednesday, we're at Strictly Insane Pro Wrestling, and then the following week, or the Saturday after that, March 9th, we make our debut at Proving Grounds against a tag team we have beat countless times, Zero Gravity. And then in April, we have an extremely full April, and April 19th, for the coverage area, we'll be taking on Gary J. and Evan Gillestico, and which, if you've ever been to an Anarchy show, and you haven't, please do so. Some of the best wrestling in all of St. Louis and anywhere in Illinois.
Tonight you took on Alexander Rudolph and Gary J. That match is probably going to be featured on Champaign television soon. You'll have to look out for that, for the outcome. But it's the Hooligans we're talking about here. They have taken on all teams, and they did not lie. They've beaten everyone. So not a real hard guess how that match ended up. You'll have to see exactly what happened at the end of that match.
Let's just say we're still the champs.
Yeah.
Well, we just say that.
Okay.
Easy way to say that.
Now, when you're taking on Gary J and you're taking on Evan, Alexander Rudolph, he's full of, he's a rambunctious young man, but he's doesn't have as much experience as Evan Gillestico. This Evan Gillestico character, Gary J as well, these guys might beat you just based off of, cheating.
Gary, other than tonight, was an opponent we have not very often faced. Evan, on the other hand, with his partner Pierre, I don't know, I think it's up to 16 times now we've met this team. And if you pay attention to the counts, Evan, you're lacking in the department of beating us. You have the experience against us, you know what we're going to do, but you always seem to lose. So without Pierre, I think he's going to have a weak link. But with Gary there, Gary is a very solid striker, and together they might be a fear factor. But end of the night, I think we're still going to come out number one.
Now, for those of you watching in both our coverage areas, both Springfield and Champaign, I'm sure if you're independent wrestling fans, you know about ROH. There's a local talent out of St. Louis named ACH who's just been signed to ROH. A lot of you may not know, who don't follow wrestling in the St. Louis area, these men almost beat ACH, but there was a run-in from a former wrestler named KC Carrington. A lot of confusion that night. KC Carrington actually pushed past me that night. I thought it was a drunken fan. What do you think about this whole situation with KC Carrington? Is he signed? Is there going to be any police involvement?
In the political aspect of St. Louis Anarchy, I don't know how that's working. I don't know. All I know right now is KC interfered in the match. I have no idea if he's going to be at the next show, if he's going to pull the same. I have no idea. This is Casey acting as Casey. This is all on his own accord.
I would say, we analyze, we wrestling geeks out there, and that's what we are. Analyze type things. The Hooligans, the biggest problem they seem to have, smash mouth wrestling. They've got the speed, even over teams like Zero Gravity. You're a lot faster. When teams seem to beat you, like the Kentucky Buffet, who it took a while for you to get the better of them, you have to get them in a steel cage. It's when they outsmart you, they take advantage of the rules. How are you kind of altering your game against guys like that so they can't beat you through nefarious means rather than a straight up competition?
Hit them harder.
Hit them harder. Hit them harder before they can cheat.
That's right.
Right, and in the end, you will get your
KYB, we only wrestled, what, 3 times?
Yeah.
Ladder match, they didn't beat us fair. Brandon Espinosa, Ace Hawkins interfered, helped them get up the ladder, actually. And then, what, they illegally pinned us in Streeter, I believe. And then, whenever they had no means of cheating, no escape, who was the better man? I mean, in the end, if you look at it that way, who is the better man? And then you got Zero Gravity. For anyone in Jacksonville, this is our debut in pro wrestling. What is it? Proving Ground Pro Wrestling?
Proving Ground Pro.
Proving Ground Pro. It's our debut. I don't know how this show is. I have no idea what they do. But Zero Gravity, they're tag champs, right? Right now? I mean, we're going to come into this like we always do. Sorry to tell you boys, I think we're bigger, stronger, and faster.
Well, and the fans of Jacksonville are in for quite the treat because Hooligans are best when they're at their meanest. And coming into Jacksonville, the Zero Gravity are definitely the fan favorites right there. The fans love these men. I've seen just eye contact and a little bit of crowd movement gets the whole crowd running in. That is not a good thing for Zero Gravity because when these men are fan favorites, these guys are bad, but when these guys got a mean streak and they got a fire lit under them, there's no stopping these guys. They're dangerous men. Some people, and I've even had Christian Rose, some of the Kentucky Buffet guys, say to me, the Hooligans like to hurt people. They enjoy watching that. What can we expect you going into Jacksonville? Maybe not, the crowd reception's not going to be on your side.
Love us or hate us, we're going to do what we do. It's plain and simple.
That's Smash Mouth Wrestling.
I don't change if they're cheering me. We don't change if you're booing us. When you're booing us, we still don't cheat. We've always done the same thing. It ends with us winning fair and square. Bad guy, good guy, whatever you look at us, view us. We come out on top. You can cheer us. We appreciate it. You can boo us. We don't give a damn.
There's our two promotions you guys haven't really touched yet. If you want to comment on them, you can. If not, you don't have to. One is in Southern Illinois, outside our coverage area. 2 men you're very familiar with are the tag team champions down there, Brandon Espinosa and Ace Hawkins. Have you looked into going down there at all?
What's the promotion?
That is
Pro Wrestling Collision.
Yes.
Been contacted. They don't, nothing's been agreed to, so.
Okay.
But Brandon Espinosa, Ace Hawkins, I don't think they've ever beat us.
You are not strangers to these men.
No.
And there's a question of, is Brandon Espinosa better than maybe Devin, or is Ace maybe better than Mason? This type
Here's
of thing
the
doesn't
issue
matter.
with Brandon Espinosa and Ace Hawkins. There's egos there. There's no egos between me and Mason. We know each other. We're not going to turn our back on each other. We're not going to squabble over who's got the better spot. Ace sometimes gets mad at Espinosa because Espinosa's got a single title and then they end up turning and doing whatever the hell they do. That's not happening with us. We have one goal, and that's to be the #1 tag team.
We talk about how good this promotion is sometimes, that I'm about to mention. Dreamwave Wrestling, you took on one of their best like it was nothing. You've taken on Zero G. What are your thoughts on guys like Dan Lawrence and Shane Hollister? I don't know if you've come across Shane Hollister in singles competition on the same cards. You haven't necessarily fought them.
Shane Hollister, we actually fought on a no coverage show. It was him and Tyler Black at a Big Daddy show.
Big Daddy,
WPPF.
Big Daddy is the best human being who's ever run shows.
Always get you your payday.
Yeah.
Never fails.
And quite a wrestler too. I've seen Big Daddy wrestle.
Sells the best dope in the air.
Yeah, I'm sure. You don't get big like that without having the munchies sometimes. So that's not really going to be a problem for you if you were ever to enter the Dreamwave territory. When I think of Dreamwave, I think of 2 words, and that's family friendly. Is this a barrier to you getting into Dreamwave? Because when I think of the Hooligans, not that you guys cuss or do things that are...
I'll tell you right now why we're not booked in Dreamwave. It's because every single one of them's afraid of us.
And
They hear the stories, and they don't want us there. That's fine with me, because there's a whole lot of other places that I can sit there and be number one at.
yeah.
And I'll just beat your talent when they come to my area.
So we're looking at you, J-Rep. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Hooligans aren't scary guys. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they won't beat your guys up. But I will sit here and tell you you've got talent that they've beaten in the past. These guys deserve to be looked at.
I mean, we beat, what is the new tag team thrown together, Dixie and Phoenix?
Yeah.
Well, Waylon Beck. I mean, that's probably moving up to the one. We've already beaten 3 of the #1 tag teams.
These men are so intense, I don't think the LaSalle area can really handle them. I've seen things like Ryan Phoenix do something as simple as bite the rope and he made a little girl cry. You're talking about these guys storming to the ring just with the mean looks on their faces. There's an intensity about the Hooligans you can't explain. There's like an aura around the Hooligans you can't explain that other guys on the independent level just don't have. They're scary individuals. I don't, you know, there's this whole thing where, you know, lights go off, the curtain goes down, and, oh, I can talk to this wrestler. These men are scary individuals. You don't want to fight them any day, whether it's in the ring or outside. You don't mess with these men, and that's why I think J-Rep is scared to bring you in. They're afraid you're going to...
J-Rep, stories you hear, they're all true. Plain and simple.
Should I ask you about all the other tag teams? Because there's some other talent that I don't recall ever you having a match with, or you've had a match, but there's a lot of unfinished business.
Who's that?
Let's start with the tag team champions of New Midwest, the PS Express. You had a 4-way.
Well, because there's flash in the pan right now. If they survive their run, then I'm pretty sure we'll be taking them on in the Midwest whenever it gets back on its feet. I mean, they're a small team that just cheats. Plain and simple. I mean, they didn't even really pin anyone fair and square in the Fatal 4-Way. They stole a win.
Let's talk about another team you guys desperately, I think, want to face, and that's the KOA.
Yes.
Aaron and Sugar.
I think that Resistance Pro needs to book that match. I think that if you want convicts, you're looking at 2 of the best ones.
What is it about KOA that makes you want to face them? Because when I see KOA, I think
dancing. You see dancing. You
80s
see
era wrestling. And when I think about
everything that it's not us, and it makes me want to tear everything that they stand for down. And this isn't because they're bad people. It's because I just want to destroy everything that they stand for. Their little kiss our monitor, we'll just put a boot in your So,
I've talked to Devin before. When you think about Devin, he doesn't want to be associated with guys like Hulk Hogan necessarily. He doesn't want to be associated with everyone's favorite wrestler, Shawn Michaels. We're talking about guys like Bruiser Brody. We're talking about guys like Dick the Bruiser. We're talking about guys that will kick okay, and not come from the rafters and put on a show. If you want that in your promotion, these guys, they're easy to get in contact with. Crime Fighter will put their information. These guys can come.
Is it going to be down here, Crimey?
Yeah.
Right? Up here? Down here? On Moe's belly?
No.
Everywhere.
You could probably fit it on there.
Probably. But the only thing that Moe's got going is this beard.
I would say don't be afraid to book the Hooligans. If that's not true, be very afraid to book the Hooligans. Whoever you put them against, they're going to okay? That's what's going to happen. But if that's what you want, and that's what people want to see violence, these men, they're available for it.
Okay. We wrestle, we brawl, we do it all.
Catch the Nosebleed Seats TV on demand anytime. Just go to stlwc.blip.tv, select your episode, watch and enjoy the show. The MBS TV on stlwc.blip.tv.
We're speaking to Tadarius Thomas, a Ring of Honor prospect, and apparently you're in the finals of a prospect tournament. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, I'm just happy, first of all, to be in Ring of Honor, to be at the top of the hill with the top guys, to show the world exactly what I've got. These last 5 years have been pretty tough. I've been honing my skill, and there's no place to show that than the top prospect tournament. Now, I've taken out Antonio Thomas. The next guy now is QT Marshall, I think. You know, me and QT Marshall, there's a little bad blood between us, but I'm telling you this, when I go back for him, I'm going to give him his receipt, I'm going to give him his change, and I'm going to smack him in his butt and say, it was nice knowing you. Let me go on to the finals. That's all I got to say about that.
You've been wrestling primarily where?
Oh man, here and there. A lot of time, you know, the majority of my wrestling I do at XICW back in Michigan, Metro Pro Wrestling back in Michigan, AAW out in Chicago, just various places. At the moment, since I've been signed with Ring of Honor for roughly the last year, I've been doing a lot of traveling with them, you know, and I'm just happy to be with them at the moment, you know, so.
You just said you're signed with Ring of Honor, so if you lose this tournament, is that contract null and void?
No, not at all, not at all. This is just an opportunity that they're giving me. I like to think that Nigel himself gave me this opportunity to show the world what I got. You know, he believes in me. He's helped me with a couple of things, but if I lose it, I'm not going out there planning on losing it, but if I do happen to lose it, I'm still under contract, and I'm still going to find those guys. I'm still going to make my way to each and every last one of them. I'm going to put this foot on that side of their face, and I'm going to whop them.
Now, this is your first trip down into Central Illinois. You're making your debut in Central Illinois for a new promotion, Perfect Gown Pro, and tell us about your opponents tonight.
Well, first time here, I really don't know a lot about the local guys. From what I do understand is that I'm facing a guy named Dysfunctional. To tell you the truth, nothing against him, but I have no idea who he is. So
I know who he is.
Okay.
He is a Wisconsin talent.
Okay, Wisconsin talent.
He's under a mask in Juggalo Championship Wrestling as the Weed Man.
Okay, I believe I've heard of that.
But yes, he's been with IW Mid-South and Insane Championship Wrestling in Milwaukee, among other places in the Midwest.
Okay.
So you've never crossed paths with him.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've both been around. I've been all around the United States, Canada, Montreal, here and there. We just never crossed paths, you know. But like I say, I expect him to be the top. I expect him to be the top that Illinois has to bring. So I'm going to bring my A game. I'm going to look for any type of opening that I can capitalize on to take this win. This is my tournament. This is what I feel tonight. So I expect him to be the best. Whoever makes it to the finals with me, I expect him to be the best.
Now he's known for doing ultra-hardcore matches. Now, if he decides to pull out, or let's say, try to wrestle a ultra-hardcore match, that means using weaponry above and beyond the typical, let's say, WWE Extreme Rules. But are you prepared for that kind of possibility if he decides to go that direction?
Oh yeah, I'm prepared, I'm prepared. I think the biggest asset that I have in my repertoire, I guess you would have to say, is the African Brazilian martial art that I bring to professional wrestling. I can guarantee that when I go in there, and when it's time for me to break out my capoeira, he's not going to know exactly what's happening because it's so unorthodox. I'm not like any other wrestler he's ever stepped in the ring with. Because of this unorthodox, I can fight standing up, I can fight on my hands, I can fight in motion, you know, and this is something that I think is going to even the playing field, and if he just does decide to bring any type of weapons in, I'm not worried, you know, because I made a lunch. I packed a lunch this morning. It's a knuckle sandwich, 2 knuckle sandwiches. I'm ready for them. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got a 3-piece, 4-piece, 5-piece. I got whatever I need to bring if he decides to take it there. I'm ready.
You said you specialize in a certain martial art style. Describe it.
It's the best way I can describe it. If you watch me in there, it looks like I'm breakdancing and fighting at the same time. You know, if you ever played the video game Tekken 3, Tekken 4, anything like that, the guy on there, he does that. That's exactly what I do. I've incorporated it into professional wrestling.
Eddie Guerrero.
Yes, Eddie Guerrero. So that gives me the advantage to step in the ring with anybody because it's so unorthodox.
All right, Tadarius, any key appearances that you want to plug in the next month or so?
appearances, pretty much Ring of Honor keeps me booked quite a bit, you know, but at the same time, XICW, back in Michigan, Warren, Michigan, that is my home. I am always there. I am one half of the tag team champions, which is the other half is Mad Dragon. Those are the two top places where I do a lot of my owning of my skills, you know, but I plan to come back here. I plan to win this tournament, and after I win it, I plan to come back and defend my belt. And then after I defend the belt, I plan to come back again and defend it again. I mean, that's just where my mindset is. You just got to watch and see.
Where promoters go if they want to bring in Tadarius? Where can promoters go if they want to bring in Tadarius Thompson to their promotion?
Okay, I thought you were giving me a little set. Well, if you want, you can contact me on Twitter. You can contact me on the Facebook. It's just pretty much my first and last name, Tadarius Thomas. Or you can write me my Yahoo email, which is tdprowrestling@yahoo.com.
All right, Tadarius, thank you for talking with us today.
Thank you.
Pleasure was mine. Nosebleed seats. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're talking to Roger Deem, who was a photographer for Wrestling at the Chase. How long ago was that?
I started in '74, and I went through the end of '83.
And have you followed the professional wrestling scene beyond the time when you finished photography?
I gave it up for several years. Like so many other people, I came back when they did the whole Hogan-Andre angle in 1987, and I was a fan for several years, but I've gotten away from it since then.
And you've written a couple of books. Tell us about them.
Well, my first one was privately published, which was memoirs of my days in St. Louis, just a variety of stories of things that I went through. And of course, the new one is the history of the Sam Muchnick's Missouri State Championship. It was always very close to my heart, and I finally decided the time was right to get it done.
And how much of a challenge was it to write this book? Because as time progresses, some information gets lost or forgotten about, and
St. Louis wrestling that was in this period was 72 to 86. That's 30 to 40 years ago. And that's like trying to draw something up through a pile of sand. It was very difficult. Even of all the people that I interviewed, only two had a very good recollection of it. One was Ted DiBiase, the other was Ken Patera. Everybody else, it was kind of like pulling teeth, but we all got there.
And what information do we have in your book?
My book covers the formation of the idea for the Missouri State title. Originally, Sam Muchnick agreed to let Harley Race defend the Central States title in St. Louis. And then there was some controversy after almost a year. And Sam said no more, and that's when he decided to create the Missouri title. I followed all of that, the tournament that created the championship, and then all of the champions, all of the defenses, all the way through until it was jettisoned by Jim Crockett when he bought the promotion.
So when Jim Crockett bought the NWA and all its affiliates, he just discontinued all these regional and state titles, or what happened?
I can't speak for all of them. He chose not to use the Missouri title. Now it kind of found its way to Kansas City circuit, and Harley used it in some of the areas, but officially it was basically dead when Geigel, O'Connor, and Gagne let go of St. Louis.
I guess I could see why they didn't bring the Missouri title to the NWA, because the operation was in Georgia, the TBS studios was in Georgia, and they were taping, I guess, every week down there. I guess I could see why they would not bring the Missouri title to Georgia, but I don't know.
He had his own championships. He wasn't interested in these things.
They wanted the world title and United States title, and then
their tag belts that they had. You know, he was not looking to any more than maybe Vince McMahon was. He's not interested in the regional title. He had his own thing.
Now, there was an NWA affiliate in running television in the Midwest. I do remember that. I'm not remembering the name of the host, but Bob Geigel was involved in it, and gosh, Rufus R. Jones. You remember any of that?
Are we talking mid-'80s or before?
Mid-'80s.
Was it Pro Wrestling USA?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think they were billing it as a NWA affiliate. They had the Central States title. Even had a TV title, and they've extended NWA belts, I believe, regional belts.
Well, I'm not 100% familiar with that. No, I'm not for sure where you're going.
Okay, well, it's a nerd moment for me, remembering stuff that maybe not everybody remembers, but I do have a recollection of it, and they did run shows here, so I didn't get to attend them, but your book, where can we find your book? I mean, you have some here tonight. Need to get a shot of that.
Yeah, the book is on sale locally at Our Town Books here in Jacksonville, but mainly they're being sold over the internet at crowbarpress.com, spelled just like it sounds.
All right, and if, I guess I should ask you, what's your favorite memory of the Chase era?
You know, I knew I'd be asked this question, and I really have not been able to quantify that other than what I started with. I became a fan as a teenager, and I will never, ever forget the day. As a Terry Funk fan, I was wild and tempestuous like he was in 1973. And I'll never forget when he was on the floor with Johnny Valentine, and he hit him in the leg with a chair, and drug him in the ring, put the spinning toe hold on him, and won the Missouri title. That was probably the most exciting sports moment of my life. And it's still, I would have to say, the high point, even though that really made Sam angry because that was way beyond what he normally allowed.
Well, yes, he cheated to win the title. I mean, using a chair, that's illegal.
Sam was not at the studios while that took place. He was late due to a function he had to attend. When he got there, the fans got all over him. He watched the tape and very nearly fired the booker, Pat O'Connor, right on the spot. Larry Madison said that he don't think he ever saw Sam as mad as he was that day. Sam ran a clean, sports-like atmosphere. His whole business, very business-like, very much like a regular sport. And chairs in front of the referee, no, that's bad booking to Sam.
What would he think of today's wrestling scene if he were still alive?
Well, that's a good question. I didn't know Mr. Muchnick all that well, but part of it he would be very happy about because he was a businessman. First and foremost, he was a businessman, and they have made a lot of money at this. But this also is not what he had. The seamier aspects of today's program would have disappointed him very much.
All right, Roger Deem, if anybody wants to contact you for like a book signing or what have you, where can they go?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess you can contact Crowbar Books, and they can get hold of me through that.
And you're on Facebook as well?
Yes, I am. I say with trepidation.
Trepidation.
Roger Deem, yes.
All right, Roger, thank you. This is your first wrestling show in many, many years, it appears.
I went to one actually last May to meet Jerry Briscoe so I could interview him for the book. But it's been a long time. As a matter of fact, my ringside career started with the AWA show here in Jacksonville.
Wow. All right, Roger, thank you for talking with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.